Hello again, and welcome back to another edition of Austin's American Flyer YouTube page, where today we're looking at some surgery on switches, part number 2. Stick around. Well, I'm glad you came back for another part of this video series. It's been really interesting. In fact, it's been fun. It's been fun to figure out how to make something work that was just beyond repair. And I researched from Tom Barker's book some helps on some elementary items about the switch, because I've never taken one of these apart before. And I found that they're not really too difficult. And then there were some things that were a little more trial and error. And I won't say that it wasn't difficult, and there weren't times when I thought it's not worth it, but it turned out really good. And so we're going to do a bench test, put some power to it, and we're going to run an engine, some cars through it, and just make sure that it works. Well, to get ready to get this switch repaired, the first thing I did was begin a cleanup. And it was a bit of a challenge because the little tabs that hold the rail on were really in rusted shape. And as you can see, there were chunks of rust actually on the deck side of the switch. So I used a fine prong tool to pick some of that away. And then a wire brush, steel wire brush on a Dremel tool to go ahead and kind of get the rest of that debris, specifically the rust, removed, and then also polish up those tabs, removing the rust. I did speed this clip up 600 times just because it's a bit monotonous, and I, believe it or not, try to keep these videos from being quite so long, and know that people don't watch stuff. So anyhow, then after that I use a little spit and shine to try and clean the surfaces as much as I could. Probably in hindsight I should have taken these and put them under soap and water and really gone after it. And the second 720A that I will be working on next, I will be doing that. And while I'm mentioning the second 720A, there are a couple steps on this cleanup and repair that I didn't do videoing of, that I promise I will do on the next one, so that between the different switch repairs, you're going to see kind of the nuts and bolts of what I did as I took things apart, just again as an aid to help you in your repairs. That pile of stuff on the backdrop there is rust from the switch, which again, this was not the worst of the two. Then I grabbed a rail, actually from the same job that I got the switches from, and cleaned it up. Again, using the wire brush on the Dremel, I separated the ties obviously, and then the shorter of the two rails is what I use on the switch. Got this rail replaced. I've got this cleaned up on the top side. There's a bit more cleaning I want to do on the bottom, but I did go ahead and hook some power up to it yesterday just to see what happened. And here's what I'm finding. As you can see, it gets bound up on this end. Now if I push down on the farthest side and slide, it will come over. But there are some supports on the back side of this switch piece, these points, and I think that this plastic is a little bit worn out, so that it's down too far, and I'm gonna need to pop this loose, put a little JB weld in there to actually pry it up, because the recommendations that I've found on switch repair is that this screw be as tight as possible. And with that being the case, then it's obviously going to be pulling down this piece. Now I have seen some people talk about finding these that are actually bent and that kind of thing, but as this is some sort of a cast metal, I am not going to attempt to do any bending because it'll probably break. Okay, so I've got a couple blocks that I'm putting underneath, and Tom Barker says use a nail punch and hammer, and pretty much that easy, out she comes. Now these are the support points on either end that are then going on to the plastic base, and can see where there's been movement. Now the good news is there is not much divot going on here, so I think just putting a small amount of JB weld on there is going to be sufficient, just to build up the slightest amount. And while I've got this apart, I'm also going to go ahead and polish these points. So another development is now that I've got the points out of the way, I'm also seeing that this rail is, you can see if I push down, it does go down a little bit. So it's got a slight bend to it that I didn't notice when I slid it in earlier because it's so slight. So I think what I'm going to do actually is pull this rail back off, and I'm going to mark where I need to actually grind this down. I'm going to go ahead and grind the inside of the rail down so that I'm not messing with the base here. I'm going to grind the rail down and go ahead and add my point, or the indented section, back in. So after I finish polishing up underneath here, I'm going to put points back in here and get my marks made, and kind of go through taking this off and making the changes. Okay. So, the transition piece is successful in terms of how well they mate up, but I'm still seeing that these planes are not equal. And despite my hammering, do not try this at home. There's still a bit of a bump there. So I'm going to take this rail back off and gently encourage it to flatten out. So there we have it. It looks like I've got the rail fine-tuned pretty good there. It's not probably it's not as good as what the factory would do, but it's a good match, and I feel happy with those results. Let's turn it to the side here, and again, I've got just a little bit, sorry about that, got just a little bit of a divot here, but again, it matches up with the point real good. So again, it's it's reusing old rail here and manufacturing a new section so that this switch can be salvaged, and pretty happy with the end product and results. I hope today you enjoyed this video, and as always, my desire in providing these kind of resources is that maybe there'll be a trick or a methodology that will help you as you look to repair and keep your flyer stuff in service. And as always, your comments are welcome, feedback's appreciated, and I hope you enjoy your trains. And until next time, thanks so much. God bless and take care. We'll see ya.